Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the latest episode of It Welcome to Derry, episode 5. So this episode started off with Dick Halloran basically finishing off using his shining capabilities on Daniel, basically resulted in him telling Shaw we got him, basically referring to the locations of this basically sends Shaw and everybody in the military to basically go down underground to retrieve the pillars, because basically the military are looking to utilize this to engage Pennywise after the revelations that we had in the last episode of the origins of Pennywise, and the reason that the pillars are there in the first place is because Rose's tribe had planted them to kind of engage Pennywise, and that's why Pennywise can never leave Derry. So basically, so this finishes off Dick Halloran using the shining capabilities on Daniel, and kind of sets him on this course to go down underground to on the search for these. We basically this expedition, if you like, is kind of then ends up getting, in fact, led by Daniel, because when Rose gets with of this, she basically speaks to Daniel. She is basically a part of the meteorite dagger that brought Pennywise to Earth. She basically passes this to Daniel, and Daniel, sorry, and then basically just it essentially kind of makes him kind of the leader of the expedition, in the sense that he's the only one really kind of familiar with the meteorite dagger. So basically, they go down. This basically sets them on the course to go down into the sewers. Meanwhile, with the kids, we see that obviously Marge now has obviously lasting damage from obviously the end of last week's Grizzly episode, but not as bad as you would have thought, considering how horrific that scene was, in a way. So yeah, basically she's very much, as she says, very much an ex-patty cake now. She's very much part of this kind of new losers club now, if we can call them that. So yeah, basically the losers club are joined by Maddie, who is essentially telling the story of how he had basically just escaped Pennywise, and is basically revealing in great detail and great horrific detail of all the torturous stuff that Pennywise has done to the other kids. And it seems he's going kind of like out of his way to gross him out, and then straight away, kind of like Maddie kind of raises suspicion here, and most notably because he basically says to the club that Pennywise only hunts at night, which I'm so surprised that this group of kids didn't call BS on, especially seeing as Marge had literally just sawn up one of her own eyeballs because Pennywise preyed on her right in during school time in the daylight. So yeah, really surprised they didn't kind of call bullshit on a lot of it. So yeah, he was basically acting kind of shifty from the start. We basically have Lily going on to visit Ingrid. Here we have a revelation of Ingrid's husband, and in doing so, we basically find out that Ingrid is essentially Mrs. Kirsch, who Bev visits as an old lady in It Chapter 2, although Ingrid was dead by then. It was obviously Pennywise kind of taking the form of Ingrid, but yeah, so there was a nice tie up to that, but also it's interesting because we know also that Mrs. Kirsch was the daughter of Bob Gray, so this leads us to think that maybe Ingrid was a periwinkle clown from what we saw in the 1908 flashback. Um, so so yeah, we have some nice little stuff with that. I mean, it's still kind of like up in the air whether Ingrid is a force for good or if this is just Pennywise taking the form. At the minute, I'm poised to lean towards the notion of Ingrid being a force for good here, and a kind of being this sort of protector, if you like. That's kind of where I'm leaning on, but it is still very kind of like unexplored. But it's good that we kind of delved a little bit deeper into who Ingrid actually is here. So yeah, this basically all kind of like sets both our set of adult and child characters basically down into the sewers to come face to face with Pennywise, who basically makes himself finally known as with Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise the clown finally making his appearance as Maddie basically does this kind of swing dance on the pole and basically reveals himself to be Pennywise in the clown form. So yeah, basically, yeah, we knew that he was acting kind of shifty right from the start, really, didn't we? But yeah, so there we go. We finally have our first real appearance as Bill Skarsgård's iconic Pennywise clown forms. So, and I really like the fact that it doesn't kind of oversell this, or it doesn't kind of outstay its welcome, but this kind of like just stays to this kind of one scene. I kind of really like that. So yeah, basically we find out that he essentially nearly ends up killing Lily, but is saved because en route to this expedition through the sewers, Daniel has dropped a meteorite dagger, and it just so happens to fall just basically where he basically goes to attack Lily, but can't because he sees this meteorite glowing, and like. This is the only thing that I didn't really necessarily like about it, was because the way that this is executed, where Pennywise just basically just freezes, completely freezes, like some sort of like game has been glitched or something, or it's kind of like buffering. It just kind of like freezes. I just thought it was kind of comical. Do you know what I mean? It didn't really kind of. Yeah, and it kind of took it out a bit of a kind of a terror that Pennywise is meant to be feeling. So it just kind of like yeah. So I wasn't really a big fan of the way that was executed. So we had basically delved a little bit deeper into Dick Halloran's capabilities with The Shining here. We see that since the start of this episode, where he uses The Shining capabilities on Daniel, we're finding out that his Shining capabilities are spinning way out, more out of control. We basically have he basically ends up being preyed on Pennywise again here, as Pennywise takes the form of his kind of abusive father and father shotgun. He's got this locked box which he basically opens, and this big bright light comes out, and it sends his Dick's Shining capabilities just basically able. I think that this is another like this little kind of Easter egg to Doctor Sleep, where basically Dick Halloran is basically basically advising Danny about to basically kind of control his shining capabilities by encasing him in this box. So yeah, we basically just so yeah, we found that there was a nice little Easter egg there, and yeah, so in all, guys, yeah, I really like this episode. Not the one that's going to be the most standout, I don't think, apart from obviously this being the first appearance we get in the series of Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise the Clown form. But yeah, it was fine. Like I said, it was good to delve a little bit deeper into, some of these little Easter eggs into some of the lore that we're kind of getting into here. And yeah, all in all, I thought this was a really another really quite strong episode from him. So yeah, thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, don't forget to ring a bell for notifications. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Feel free to let me know down in the comment section about what your thoughts were on this episode. I'll be really interested to hear all your fan theories and everything going forward on this show. So yeah, let me know down all that fun stuff down in the comment section. And until next time, I will see you guys on the next video. You guys take care.